If you look in countries that have been experiencing hyperinflation, like Venezuela, they actually had things priced in their bolivar and also in terms of gold. If you look at like Zimbabwe, the reality is you can convert it into goods that you need because it's universal money. Wherever you are in the world, when I travel, I always make sure that I have gold and silver coins with me, chains, things like that. So if I'm somewhere in another country and I need money fast, their local currency, for some reason I can't access, I always have that. Gold and silver in any form is monetary at its base. So I happen to have quite a bit, because over the years I'd go to yard sales, estate sales, and especially, people are like, oh, it gets tarnished. Oh, I don't want this sterling silver. I'll take it. I mean, this happens to be a sterling silver chopstick. Do you think I would care about cutting a piece of this off, right? To buy what I needed to buy? No. And so, even though they could, but in Venezuela for a while convert to dollars, the restrictions that governments put around their monetary policy and the public's ability to convert into other currencies like US dollars was actually pretty limited. And so then there are instances where things are actually priced in terms of gold and in terms of other currencies. And you can just clip off a little piece of gold or a little piece of silver, like I just was explaining, to buy those goods and services. And that's what people have to understand. You're right. It's available. You can get it, but what are you going to use to buy it? Universal money. And the reason why it's universal money is because both physical gold and silver are used in every single sector of the global economy. Dollars, we have lost most of the purchasing power value in these dollars. People just haven't quite recognized that yet. So I believe we're going to end up going into about a hyperinflationary depression. And then the IMF the IMF, the Federal Reserve, the central bankers will come out and say, well, if you give us these CBDCs, we promise there won't be any inflation because we can have our finger on the pulse of the economy 24/7 and tweak it. And those are their words, not mine, as well as then there are no limitations to how low they can push the interest rates. So no, there won't be any inflation. There will be deflation at such a deep level that you're sitting there watching your savings evaporate because of negative rates. What are you likely to do? You're likely to go out and buy anything. I mean, it really doesn't matter what it is, anything, just to attempt to hold your principal. You've already gotten all your purchasing power. The only thing left is your principal. And this happens, we vote with our wallets. So I buy gold and silver. I put my money into food, water, energy, etc., my whole mantra piece. We all need to be prepared for it. Something is better than nothing, but you want to have as much as possible. Or have people say, well, what percentage of your portfolio is in gold and silver? Well, considering the fact that I've been doing this on some level since I was 10 years old, I have a very high level of comfort. And having studied currencies and currency life cycles since 1987, I am frankly crystal clear on where we are in this trend cycle. So personally, I am all in, period. I am all in. When the facts change, when we get through this mess, when we burn off this massive debt bubble that is already in process of popping, it's used in every single sector of the global economy. So it's never gone to zero. And they haven't been able to duplicate the qualities that both gold and silver have in the labs. They can duplicate diamonds, but they can't duplicate gold and silver. When you look at what the government's doing and the Federal Reserve is doing with fiscal and monetary policy, they are at odds with each other. And what? They don't know this, right? They know that we are at the end and that they need to transition. And in order to make that transition and have the public adopt a digital currency willingly and easily, there are a few things that have to happen. Number one, they have to attempt to maintain public confidence. And that's frankly the biggest thing, and the biggest thing that's at risk for them. But they also needed to make it seem as normal as possible. And so, you know, we've had since 2009 Bitcoin cryptocurrencies out there, and that's gotten a lot of eyeballs. And so they're playing their normal playbook, but yeah, they need like a huge crisis. And I think what happened in 2020 was a test. And also to cover up what was actually happening in the money market, global money markets. But yeah, I think it's intentional. They need a huge crisis. So yeah, that's why they call you smart. It is intentional. There's always opportunity in crisis. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, who says that it's only the 1% that get to take advantage of this crisis? How about we take advantage of this crisis? The public has the opportunity to have the wealth shift their way. And how do you do that? By holding your purchasing power. Because right now you have these income producing assets. Hey, look at this. Real estate prices are at the highest level. Now, not in all markets, but certainly the report just came out, and you know, real estate prices are at the highest level. So people think they can escape into real estate, but they forget property taxes. They also forget what happens to mortgages during hyperinflationary events. So there are a lot of risks to it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have property. I mean, I have my home here, which is an urban farm, and I have my bug out location, which I've been working on now for about 2.5 years. And that's also, we're just finished putting in the orchards. We're just finishing planting out the greenhouses because food is such a significant issue. But you have to be prepared to be as self-sufficient and independent inside of community as possible, because one person can't do it all themselves, you know, but we have people with different skill sets. So I do think that this is also a phenomenal time to bone up on your skills. I mean, I don't want to, but if I had to, I could lay irrigation because it was just me and I had to figure it out. But much easier having a community around you, everybody bringing their talents and their gifts and supporting each other.